In this episode, our personal opinions and preferences are going to come true. It's definitely not the same for when we were doing the presidential series.
What was he really like on set?
I was very annoyed.
It's very different from what I expected.
I've never felt exasperation for a prolonged period of time.
It looked like he misunderstood the role of the president.
The presidential candidates had their say. Now, it's our turn. This is your daily catch-up.
Breaking news! We interrupt your regular programming to report that a 25-year-old woman has just lost her life savings after a series of bad trading decisions.
I thought trading was easy. Buy low, sell high, right? What happened to all my money?
Hi, if only they knew of XM Global.
XM Global? What's that?
It's not just a trading app, it's a trading experience. With their team of more than 900 professionals providing daily technical analysis and 24/7 customer support, anyone can stay ahead of the market trends and realize their investment goals.
There's even weekly webinars by industry experts to level up my trading game?
That's right. And if you feel like you're not ready, you can always sign up for a demo account and do a zero-risk trial run with 100k in virtual balance. When you're ready to sign up for a real account, you can even get a $50 no deposit bonus. So sign up for an account and go further with XM today.
Okay, so I'm on a political episode finally. Actually, we filmed an episode on Wednesday, the day before Cooling Day, so that we can publish on Cooling Day. But then on Cooling Day,
ELD changed the rules.
The definitions.
No,
so
yeah,
we
they updated
couldn't
definitions.
host it. But quite a few of you have actually requested for a summary app, and we also indicated. Did we say that we're going to do a summary app?
Yeah, I did.
You say.
Yeah.
That's why
Okay lah,
people
so
ask.
John say so we okay lah. So we do that.
So sorry.
But we have a new president.
Yeah, we have a new president. So Singapore has our 9th president, Mr. Taman.
Shanmugaratnam.
Yes.
You don't know how to pronounce right.
No, it's just here put Mr. Taman.
Okay.
Okay. 9th president of Singapore. So, hey, congratulations, sir.
Ooh, I'm 2 for 2 for all elections so far.
So we've had the
We
privilege.
remain undefeated.
So we've had the privilege to actually speak to all the candidates, right? If you follow our series before this. And so we thought that this episode, we would like to just talk a bit about our polling day experiences. Maybe like, I don't know, commentary on the events that happened shortly after. And then also share with you guys some of like the behind the scenes stuff and our personal take and impressions since we were able to meet all the
And
candidates.
we held back to not like join in the conversation, more of like ask questions and make them talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, guys, polling day. How? Polling day fun for you?
I would like to say that I went to polling station twice because I got roped into a shoot on polling day also.
Right.
So I was thinking I need to be at the shoot place at 10:15 a.m. So I was thinking, okay, I wake up bright and early, I go and vote first, and then I go and then have the rest of my day. What?
Yeah.
So, I go down, right, then the computers break down.
Oh, I read that.
Exactly. So I queued after in the end, I no time, I go home to bathe, then I left.
Because we met up before that, right? And then she described it, right? And I was like, wow, so high tech now. Then when I finally went to my polling station, right? It's just they give me one piece of paper.
No, but they check your thing, what? They need the computer to check your polling card, then they read
Scan
out
a
your
bit,
number,
yeah.
then they scan.
Have me?
You go different
That
polling
was how efficient
station.
it was.
Oh shit. Did I vote?
No, but because I dropped Alison off like after everything, right? And then she was going to vote. So I dropped her off and then the polling station was at the void deck. So it was just like a few random tables, right? Then before I even turned out of the car park, right, she said, I'm done.
Right.
Yeah, everybody complained about queue, but mine nobody there. Only the people that
But
are
if you
helping.
go afternoon, nobody. But a lot because of people chiong JB after.
Oh, JB Chair was 8 hours. You also know.
Yeah. From light to dark. It's crazy.
Nuts.
No, but like most of the people I know, like it took like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Everyone keep quoting 2 minutes for some reason.
So when y'all finally got to the polling station, right? Do y'all already know who you're voting for already? Or still like, and did y'all break the stupid stamp?
What?
Apparently on TikTok, right, a lot of people broke the stamp because they thought that it was a cover and you have to remove to chop. But actually you just chop.
The stamp design was unnecessarily complex. Because I know that if you stamp out of the box, it might be a void count. So it doesn't, like you don't just open and you see the stamp, then you can aim it. It looks like a lid, but you could tell it will open.
Yeah.
But the moment you open, it slide a bit, it slant a bit, then you're like, whoa. Then you Transformers a bit just to make one small X there. It was unnecessarily difficult. It should just be like a,
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
yeah.
I use a pen.
Yeah, they also say you can bring your own pen. So I guess like next time, just bring your own
No,
pen.
change the chalk.
I had a friend who, well, I don't know if I want to expose him, right? But basically, he's not usually very politically informed. He doesn't usually care. So all he said, right, because mandatory, was that I will vote for whoever is the middle person on the paper. And then he went to polling day, and then he chop and then finish, go already. And then when people ask him, like, so you know who you vote for? Then he's like, I don't know lah. Like, Taman is
middle.
it? Like, he doesn't even know who any of them are.
Oh.
And then
Honestly, I was like this before this whole series started.
I think like polling day was a very unexpected experience for me because like going into this, right, honestly, I thought I either void my vote or I vote like Ng Kok Song, you know, and then I felt like, it's a bit of a chore. Then someone my morning queue and then I have to go back again. But then so when I went, like got people like wheeling like their wheelchair bound father out. Then I go in and this guy like supporting his mom, right? That is like she need to use a cane to walk. Then she walk very slow. It's like I overtake them. I go
cut
queue. No, as in walking through the school.
Right.
Like I reach the queue already, right? They get a priority, so they go through first. But in the end, when I exit, I still overtake her again.
Right.
Then when you go in, you know, you give them the
this
polling
friend is to
card.
laugh at old people.
No, you give them the polling card, and then after they read and all that, right? Then I'm like, who are they shouting this to? So then I turn around, and then I see like old people there. Then they use like magnifying glass to like try to check the name or
The
whatever.
volunteers, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
Then as in, I don't know whether they are paid, but nonetheless, right? I think it really put into perspective that like it's so difficult for them to go down. They go down. They don't need to be there. They are there. They are old, right? And this is like their duty to the country. I think to them to be there, right? I think it really put into perspective to me like how much of a privilege to vote it was. And the fact that I can think that, voting is like nothing much. It only goes to double down on the fact that we are so lucky to be in this country where we are not like torn by war or like there's any corruption that like every vote really like have to count, like everybody sign out and go and vote and all that. Like the fact that I can like sit back on this almost, right, is only testament to like the country that we live in.
And I think what was really interesting for me when a lot of people, when my friends told me that they wanted to fly back to vote. Yeah, because they are the overseas Singaporeans that don't have the privilege that they once had here. And they know that the Singaporean brand overseas means a lot. And when they realize, Singaporeans might be upset with PAP enough to vote Tan Kin Lian that time, they wanted to come back and just make their one vote count. And I thought, okay, this is nation building.
So for the people who don't know, when the results came out, right, basically Taman won by, he got 70.4% of the total votes.
He won by like 50%.
Which is a landslide victory. In fact, it's like the widest gap between, between who?
Candidates.
Between candidates in our history. Yeah. Hey, relax, you go, sir.
Give vote out, but then you got no commentary.
Wow.
You watch out.
No, but I think what was interesting about that, right, is that Mr. Taman got more votes in totality, right, than the PAP got in GE. Because historically, right, PAP always gets about 1.5 million votes, both in 2020 and 2015. Mr. Taman got 1.7 million votes, which means that people who normally vote opposition also voted for Mr. Taman.
You know what I was shocked by? I was shocked that we only got like 1 million people who can vote.
2.7.
But he only get like 1 million votes.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
But like overseas is like how many? Like one California is already how many million?
And so Ng Kok Song got 15.72% of the votes and Tan Kin Lian got 13.88.
He got to keep his deposit.
Yeah.
Good for him though. I'm happy for him.
Why?
You have to have more than 12.5% or something like that to keep your deposit. If not, you
I thought it was the
forfeit.
opposite. I thought if you didn't get enough, it means nobody give a about you, then you just...
No.
Yeah, so it's like you don't simply run. You really
you
have to
don't waste
campaign.
people
and-
time to run.
So that means when he see like one, then he see the next number, then he...
Oh, dang.
To be honest, I think he really expected to win it. He was so confident with us to the point, right? He gaslight me that I do think he was gonna win.
What do you mean he gets like you?
Because at the end of the day, when he ran for president, it was not that surprising because he ran before. Kudos to you for running, but I don't think you will win, right? But as he say, right, and he say about how much support he has, which at that point I haven't seen yet. But that night of filming, even before the episode come out, then I really started to come across a lot of videos of people really screaming his name, like when he walked around Chinatown. Then I'm like, no. This guy is right, and I have no idea like what to think. And I legit thought he was gonna win.
There were also messages going around, like we don't know how true, but there were like bookies and like poll numbers that were favoring him, saying that he had actually a lot of support, right? That he actually had to come out
Right.
to address later on, because a lot of his followers were saying, hey, how come the numbers all say this, but then the actual poll is 70%? Can we believe the polls or not?
Yeah.
And then he came out to say, looking at it back now, maybe the bookies were not right. And obviously we don't know what these sources are. So actually it was a very like calming message to
Right.
basically
Okay,
tell
fine.
his
That was
supporters,
quite nice.
guys.
He never say like it's a smear campaign or
No,
what.
no. He just said we don't know what the sources were for these original messages
Yeah.
that were being spread.
I think my initial reaction when I saw it was that, first of all, 70% is crazy. And then I look closely and Ng Kok Song and Tan Kim Lian, damn close, yeah. Can you all make sense of the numbers?
Either he doesn't value you enough as the audience to think that you guys can understand, or he actually doesn't know the answer to it.
Which I think is
Which are
the-
both bad lah.
Or he actually know. And he just don't want to say.
So Dan wants to know how you interpreted the presidential results. Let us know in comments down below.
Actually, Dan wants to know, will you rather kill 2 birds with 1 stone or kill 3 birds with 2 stones?
It's about efficiency or results, guys. Which are you more oriented towards?
Back to the episode. I actually saw quite an interesting comment on Reddit that said that, right, presidential elections are about who gets the centrist votes. So essentially, in this case, we got 2 extremes, right? But then they say that centrists in Singapore tend to choose something more pragmatic. The people that we thought would flip towards Mr. Tan Kim Lian's side instead flipped the other way, which is what created that landslide.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
What was very impressive to me, right, and this still like impresses me since 2015, right, is how accurate the sample count is. Can you imagine taking 100 votes from just the polling
Oh, yeah,
stations,
no,
right?
but I watched it, then I realized why.
Why?
Did you watch the breakdown of why? I also thought they put everything in the giant box.
No, but then they weight it. So like they take 100,
Yeah.
but then they also weight it to the number of people that will vote in this station. And then after
Yeah.
that, they get the number, right? But what?
No, it's not just that. If I'm not wrong, right? They take 100 from each polling. They scramble, take 100 from each polling station, put it all together, take 100 again. So if you look at how magic tricks, right? You know, you cut into 3 stacks, and after that you cut, then
Yeah.
you push down, and you know the cut pops out. It's that also. In that sense, because you redivide the stack 3 times already.
But it's still amazing because what if, right, a huge bus of like say Tan Kim Lian supporters all came together at one time from between 2 to 3 p.m. and then voted together. No matter how much you chum together, right, it will still be all
Yeah.
clumped together, right?
They asked the Sing Song guys to do it. You know? Sing Song tap walan eh. I'm thinking how to win the bloody tap like 3 cars like that. Take out 1 receipt.
Okay, so the first person that we got to interview was actually
Mr. Ng Kok Song.
Mr.
Mr. George Goh.
Oh, yes.
Whatever lah, who cares about him now?
Okay, I want to comment on George Goh. I feel like he ran the best campaign.
Actually, when he was disqualified, I felt like there was like, this must be rigged, you know? But then I saw a really good explanation that was saying, because essentially he had, I think, $500 billion worth companies put together to make up that 500 million benchmark. So someone said that because, for example, in a game, right, fighting a level 500 boss is very different from fighting 5 level 100 bosses.
Right.
So I think that's the difference in experience that they were looking for.
Oh, which one is hardest, yeah?
Sorry, if he had qualified, there would have been 4 people.
Yes.
That we have to vote for.
Similar to 2011, the Battle of the
Interesting.
Tans.
Actually, I only paid attention to Ng Kok Song after George Goh got out. I don't know why also.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
I must say that when we interviewed Mr. George Goh, right, I don't know why I put Mr. in front of all of them. Sorry, because they're
We
all
should
pen.
lah, as we should. Let's do that.
Something about me felt that he had this aura that was the most presidential. Like when he walked into the room, right, it really felt like the way how he shook everybody's hands, the way how he talked to everybody, you know, it was like, wow, this guy has the,
As in, he's
the
very
aura.
personable, but at the same time, you know, like he's a big CEO and all
Professional.
that.
Yeah. Because to some extent, right, like when we had the candidates come over, right, there was a little bit of like, you got to see their true self and then a little bit of like 5-10% camera on, then a bit of that. Whereas Mr. George Goh felt like that was him and that was
Yeah,
him.
he looked like he was already the president.
Yes.
He looked like we were welcoming the president into the office.
Right.
Maybe because he was also the first guy. But can I tell you my first impression of him?
Sure.
Not even on his office.
Okay.
So I met him at a showbiz event. And yeah, it was a gala dinner. And I was just like, hello. Because I mean, I'm really
Sorry, at that
awkward.
point, he's not yet running.
No. PE talks haven't even begun in Singapore yet.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
he was just there and came and walked around and someone told me that the guy was the guy that brought Harvey Norman to Singapore. And they're like, oh yeah, you know. So because everybody there was less me, everybody there was a big shot. And
No
especially
lah, you
he's
also-
older and then he came to the table, right? And so I just like hello at him, then he just like, you know, hello at me, that kind. that's when a common acquaintance, and I say this no hate, okay, I'm just recounting a story, okay? Sure. A common friend, sorry, not acquaintance, a common friend just say, just told him, he always like to do this to me, okay? He always just say like, this is John, John runs a big media company, which is not true, okay? You all know we do a few things. Then that guy went, Mr. George, sorry, not the guy. So Mr. George, so you are a famous guy like that. Then he said, then let's take a picture. At first, he just gave me a nod. Then after that, his handshake was like, those fingertip handshake, that kind. Which I don't know, handshaka's very important to me.
Lembut.
Yeah, when I kena the fingertip handshake, and I know it's not because we came from awkward clashing direction, right? Like, I will just cast a weird impression on you already. And then only then he's like, then let's take a picture. Then that was where I actually had a terrible impression of him.
I see.
And then after that, when he announced for PE, they're like, okay, you were collecting like media friends lah. But when he came to office, everything changed. He was not weird. He was who he is. I think maybe he drunk that night, or maybe I don't know. Just very awkward for everybody, including him.
So, Mr. Ng Kok Song. First of all, I heard that after the election results were announced, he said something or gave some press speech or whatever,
Very
and then
gracious.
everybody was like super like, wow, he cool, yeah.
No, I think the
What was
sample
it,
count come out already, right? Then he want go home already.
He said, I've decided to concede so that y'all can all rest.
Like the media, because media all gathered at his
Right,
HQ.
right, right.
His own team lah.
But what if he won?
No, but based on the sample count, I think the margin was already so
The
huge.
sample count deviate 2%,
Oh.
3%. Right?
So the
Right,
margin
right,
for
okay,
error
okay.
right is 4% or 5%, which means that if there's a gap of more than 10%, right, plus
You are
minus,
done. Okay, understand.
But I think it was very gracious because he reiterated something that he mentioned on the show here, which was that the main reason why he wanted to run was to give the elected president the mandate, so that by creating an election as opposed to a walkover,
Right.
and that he realized that he achieved that goal and he's really happy about that.
Right.
And so it felt really selfless, and that was something that like was really
Yeah, you could tell though toward the end, I believed him when he said it to us,
Yeah.
but I felt like towards the end, like 2 days to election and all that stuff, when his interviews come out, the passions and convictions changed.
Yes.
He really wanted to win.
Right.
Yeah, and I think he had reason to believe, and I would agree with him, that he held the middle ground.
Okay, because I wasn't here, but you all managed to meet him, right? What was he really like on set? Like when he reached already, because you talked about George Goh earlier, right?
Yeah.
Mr. George Goh, sorry. So when Mr. Ng entered the space, what were the vibes? Good vibes?
Good vibes.
Actually, the first thing he said when he sat down was, let's meditate for 2 minutes before we start. Which I think like how to say, like it's very different from what I expected.
Yeah.
So then it was like,
You think he was priming us?
What do you mean?
Some of his keyword was gratefulness.
I
Be grateful that I came to your little show.
It's like the word for today is thank you or something, right?
But he was
The
thinking
whole thing-
potato.
Yeah.
Right.
No, so I was very annoyed because as you can tell maybe from the episode, I don't know if you remember, but I was very quiet. So like I knew I had few things that I wanted to bring up during the interview to like bring in some lighthearted moments. So one of it was because I remember when George Goh came out, I said, hey, like, do you mind letting us hear you sing? So I wanted to say, do you mind leading us in meditation? He took that away from me. And I was like, lama.
I know about you.
Yeah lah, I make it by myself.
His 3 lines.
So I tried to
Because I watched the episode, right? And I almost cried one part.
Wow, the
When-
wife is
and
it?
a lot of people talk about that part. Yeah,
Yes.
it's when he told the
Yeah.
story of his late wife.
Very sweet.
And then his current wife also. Like,
Yeah.
wow. His storytelling really very good. And
She
that's what
speaks
sold
very
me for
slowly.
yeah.
Yeah.
It sold me for the most part, right?
Yeah.
But then again, right, when I look back at it, it's not the storytelling that matters, right? It's everything else. It's the
Actually,
facts,
it's
it's the
the-
action. partially,
Yeah.
so which is what frustrated me, and that's why I was torn between the two.
I feel like when he first surfaced, right, and he was like chief investment officer or something like that, right, of GIC. So it never registered in my head what the chief investor do. It feels like you manage people, or maybe you don't even invest. You know what I mean? You just manage people. I don't know lah. Then when he came here and when we talked about, okay, what about outside of reserve? So okay, you know how to grow money.
Yeah.
We happy for you. You responsible for growing our reserve somehow. How many people can say that, right? Actually everyone, because we all contribute to it.
Okay, thank you.
True.
But like investing it, right, and then the profits that you gain from it. Then after that, we talk about, okay, how about the ceremonial role of being like low-key Singapore's chief diplomat? And then he said that as the chief investing officer of one of the world's largest sovereign wealth fund,
True.
I have held my own with many finance ministers and heads of states that are pursuing our investment across the world. Then I'm like, more so than any other president. Because if you look at even our ministers that go across, we are not top 5 anything ma. It's usually we probably want something from them ma. And Singapore is not known to be a country that gives out foreign aid either, and neither do we receive it. In that sense, then you feel like, okay, he actually goes over there like a businessman looking to spend money.
Yeah.
I have billions to put in your country. Where? Or I have billions to put on these few countries that you all happen to join together called a continent, and I'm going to pick one of you and now you're going to pitch me, right? Then you realize, okay, he actually held these people by the ball sack.
I know you're framing it as a positive. To me, right, it was actually a little bit of a negative.
Why?
Because, right, to be the chief diplomat, it's about knowing how to be able to maybe handle difficult, like, relationships, or maybe having to be able to ask for things or whatever, right? But he being the CIO of, again, one of the world's largest sovereign funds, means that he always came and everybody wanted what he wanted. So everyone was kowtowing to him. Everyone was saying, oh my God, you're so good, right? Because they want him to spend on them.
Right.
So it's a different position.
He was always in a position of power.
Exactly.
So how do you negotiate from the bottom lah now?
Exactly that. Because he's so
Right.
used to that.
Actually, as in the episode like scared me a bit, right? Because of the amount of people, like my friend circles and all that, they came up to me to say that because of the episode, they decided to vote for him. Like because they were very moved by what he said. And then I was
Yeah.
like,
No, but at first we were very honored, right, when that happened. At first, because we also not very deep into it, you know, we haven't hosted the rest. He was like the second one to come, or first one if you don't count Mr. George.
Yeah.
So you just feel like, oh, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
after that, it got damn serious. I feel like there was a huge weight on our shoulder for certain reasons, because even their own PR teams are saying, this election, see how you perform on this show already. That kind of stuff. Huh? But you know they half joking lah, you know, but it's still like, don't quite stop joking.
But I'm honestly very glad we did the series. Like, because even for somebody like me who's apolitical, right? Like, for the most part, it's interesting to me that we get to, like, the whole point of this show and that series is to kind of see a different side of the candidates, right? The more personal side to them. And that's what I felt like we were able to achieve for the most part with this series.
I think what his appearance on the show did was add a lot of substance, because I think before that, a lot of impressions that people had of him was just that he had a very young fiance, and then the opening speech really didn't help, because I think he asked her to speak, and then she looked like she was
surprised,
shocked
yeah.
that she was supposed to speak. And so, like, I think I remember seeing online where it was like, hey, how can you vote for a 75-year-old man who has such a young wife or whatever? And apparently that set a like really bad impression. And I think having him on, being able to share about his life story, about what he stands for, like, gave him a lot of substance. And I think something that helped after that also was the forum appearance that he did on CNA, which I think a lot of people regard as him kind of winning that forum lah, in that sense.
Okay. Which leads me to the next person we interviewed.
Actually, no, I want to say one more thing. I feel
Which
like,
doesn't lead me to the next
I feel like Mr. Ng best used this platform. Out of all the candidates that came here, he best used. Because he came here knowing that this is a show that will just ask bolel questions and also the questions that people want to ask. As a show, right, we also ask them, is there anything you all don't want us to ask? Is there anything you want to avoid? To a certain extent, we will try and respect it if it's very much personal. For example, don't ask me about my children, can. You know, certain things. If it's about a scandal, then that's the whole reason we invite you, then obviously cannot lah, right? And so he came here saying, this, ask me anything. Yeah, don't hold back. That was and I feel like he came here and there were two things against him. The first one is that people don't know what he really did in his previous job, and he explained that really well. He correlated that to the roles of presidency. And with Sybil, where he talked about how, yes, she's younger, but let's not pretend like she's 19 years old. She is 45 or something like that. I mean, I forgot the age.
So speaking of pretty girls, this leads me to our next candidate, Mr. Tan Kin Lian. So this was the shoot that
I wasn't in.
you were not in. I know Jared was inside.
You were protected.
Thank you.
Which people say you were protected.
No, guys, Denise was editing.
Why
She
do
was busy.
people
She was busy.
assume that I am the pretty girl in
this
question?
this was the shoot, right? That because I had no idea, I didn't really know much about this candidate also. And then after the shoot, right, I came down to see the guys, right, and they all damn shack. Like, I've never seen them look the way that they look before.
No, we
He's
had
like-
another shoot after, and then we couldn't start for a good half an hour because they couldn't shut up about it.
Yeah.
I think before we jump into this, we should mention that when we published the 3 episodes, we wanted to be as neutral as possible. And this is something that John mentioned in his Instagram as well, because I think it was important for us to let the candidates speak for themselves and let you guys judge what they are saying. That's why I think we didn't really interrogate too much also, because it was important for you to just hear and judge for yourself.
Also, we just want an internet show lah.
So whatever you might hear next of that might constitute as shitting on anybody is
Yeah.
basically
Okay, so in
a
this
debrief.
episode, our personal opinions and preferences are going to come true. Okay, which I will say is definitely not the same for when we were doing the presidential series.
Correct.
Yeah.
Where we
Okay.
shut the up and we held back.
Okay, so give me the dirt, motherfuckers. Sorry. Too much.
Okay, I think it was not.
Sometimes you go a bit far.
It was not draining. I've never felt exasperation for a prolonged period of time. Because
Right.
usually when I'm really exasperated, I leave.
Oh, that explains so much.
I couldn't leave. Or I wanted to
But you always
counter,
got
but I didn't counter because we said no, we are going to crystallize their thoughts as opposed to debate them.
Yeah.
So even if we were seemingly debating them, it's because when they say their thoughts, it was said before and the internet still don't accept. So
Yeah.
we will ask again, right? To give a different kind of answer. Then when the answer is differentiated, we will take a step back. That was our entire approach. And yeah, the exasperation was so real because I think he started out by saying there's some level of judgment and double standard against him.
Okay.
When people were making fun of him. And then when the second half of the thing come where he was criticizing PAP has changed, for example. You all think I some guys, I wish PAP pay me also, okay? Please pay me. Sorry guys, I'm just speaking like, okay.
Humanitarian aid.
We do government campaigns just like every other company, okay? But there is no PAP haven't pay me, please pay me. So when he came in and then he started talking about how PAP not the same anymore and up and all that stuff, then I realized you are judging people by that period, that context, that whatever circumstance has changed, which is everything he has said for himself when people were picking on him.
Right.
So but then there's
Right.
nothing for me to ask, like, isn't that a double standard? Because that doesn't crystallize his thoughts.
Yeah.
So I just keep thinking, I just like then, so when he talked about how he wanted to better manage the reserve, which guys, we are not against cutting GST. I feel like not bad. If there is a very just like okay, a moment ago we thought unemployment was terrible. Like unemployment benefits is terrible. Like it's not sustainable. It's socialist and all that stuff. The
Welfare.
taxpayer is gonna pass away and all that stuff, right? And then you realize, okay, with certain elegant solutions, Singapore is about to have unemployment benefit, by the way. Yeah, it's temporary and that you will do a job switch. So you must go and learn and take up course. Then you get unemployment benefit. Then you think about it. Okay, elegant solutions do exist for previously thought impossible policies. So if you want to cut GST, let's go. I'm all ears. Right? And then I say, okay, can you explain?
Yeah.
And then he said, everybody won't get it. Then I'm like, no, though.
No, then after he insulted, he said, then you said like, no, but we understand and whatever. They said, you might understand, but your audience won't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was honestly my main frustration, because I think we mentioned this before about how like is the ability to articulate it and help people to understand the
exactly.
reasoning behind why you make the decisions that is what will sell yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then he keep on just like he just say, you don't know one lah.
No, which only tells you two things. One is that he doesn't value you enough as the audience to think that you guys can understand, or he actually doesn't know the answer to it.
Which I think is
Which are both bad lah.
Or he actually know. And he just don't want to say. And then there's a damn elegant solution where we can just live without GST.
like
but
we really
didn't
won't
give him a
understand.
chance.
If he say, we really won't understand.
We're like, sir, slow down.
Can I take notes?
Oh no.
What do you think we're economists?
But I think what was most interesting to me, I mean, because I wasn't on the episode, but I walked the arduous editing journey with Jared. Like difficult. So
Oh, difficult, say difficult lah.
So, as in because he was very torn because like we mentioned, we wanted to let the candidates present themselves as is, right? But then when there were certain things that he started saying that were not factual, or that if say as a layman, putting myself in the shoes of just a regular person that doesn't follow politics or doesn't follow any of this, like how the results work or what, right? When I'm hearing what he's saying, right, it sounds like music to my ears. Like cut GST to zero, of course, why not? And then it's clearly the government doing wrong accounting. Then at that point, what we decided eventually was to put the disclaimers or to clarify certain things that he said. But that was like an internal debate because we didn't know whether this was interfering with how we wanted to put the episodes out.
Yeah.
And at the same time balancing that social responsibility.
Yeah. No, I think even the part where we talk about you will understand but your audience don't understand, I think we also talked about whether we should include this clip or not.
Yeah.
Because we know it looks bad on him. Yeah, at the same time, I feel like we discussed about how exasperated we are in trying to tell him what the wider world is thinking, and then can you address that? But he didn't either. So I feel like that's why we kept that one in to kind of represent everything.
At the end of the day, there was a risk with what we put out, and at the end of the day, the only thing that we could really do was either to react to each other. I don't know if you guys caught it, but we either reacted or look at the camera and felt like the office, right? And majority of the comments,
And we cut a lot of that out though.
yeah, but people got it.
Yeah.
Like it was like 98% of people going, "Oh my god!" Like first time we've been commended for our professionalism.
That never happens. Shout out to you all. Like for nothing, people calling out our professionalism.
Then we got
Kudos for
like-
keeping it together. Like what? We are always kept together.
We got 200 times our usual number of comments.
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah.
It's a arduous job.
One positive I do have for him wasn't so much about what he said in the end, because I think it looked like he misunderstood the role of the president. So he kept saying about all the things that he wanted to do, right? And then after getting Bosman on CNA Live as well, he ended up actually giving a really good roundup in his final speech on CNA, which is that he said he understands that this is not the role of the president, but he will use the soft influence that the office of the president holds to influence these changes with the government. And I thought actually not bad.
Yeah.
Who wrote that speech? Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not him, we know.
Something that my friend Chris put on his Instagram story that I think gave me a different perspective was that he said Mr. Tan Kin Lian is the only candidate that you get what you see. So I think he felt like the most open, in a sense, the most honest, even though it might reflect badly on him. But it's like whatever he says, you know that's probably exactly what he means.
Like the blunt truth guy.
Yeah.
You've seen the worst of him line, so you know it can't get worse than that.
As in, it feels like I see what he really thinks.
Right.
Yeah, versus
right.
the other two that might be more like, in a sense, veiled, or they might like phrase it differently, like package it.
I think you see who he really is, not what he really thinks. Because I don't think he demonstrated his thinking. Not to
Yeah,
say
he
never
didn't
think.
lah. I watched the episode, he didn't.
No, I'm not saying he never think. Yeah, I don't think he demonstrated.
Yeah,
his
the
thinking.
demonstration, yeah.
Like when we ask him, so what is it? When his inability to articulate it, to me is that if I'm like based on that judgment, right, that he's the only open book here, then do you believe him that he has a plan to cut GST? Then sustainable.
Right.
Like we don't have one, we don't know that information.
So I think this was the most surprising post-interview reaction I got from you guys was actually with Mr. Taman. Because I think everybody was very excited to film that episode. And again, right, I think later you can give a bit of the backstory of how it almost didn't happen.
Yeah.
Right? But then immediately after the interview, you all were a bit like, I don't know whether it's disappointed or what. Like what I don't even know what happened.
A bit.
Yeah.
You go.
Okay, just to set the context, and you can share a bit about the backstory, but like when we managed to film the episode with Mr. Taman, this was already at the later stages of the campaign already, which was I think like 2 days before
It was
cooling
the
off.
Tuesday of
Yeah, film on Tuesday, out on Wednesday night cooling.
So I think you can understand that he's probably campaigned for 9 days already, right? And he's already said what he has to say already, and he's coming on to the show probably going to say the same things again. And so I guess to our frustration, there was nothing really new that we could get out of him. But also to his frustration, he's already said this multiple places. So I think there was multiple times where he said, oh, I've already mentioned this there. Oh, but I also mentioned this there.
Yeah.
So I think to me, the disappointment was maybe we couldn't really gather anything new, but also because we were the last outlet for him.
Yeah. And behind the scenes, what was the whole issue?
Okay, so I have two things I want to say, right? The first one was how this almost didn't happen. So right from the get-go, I think not long after he announced his presidential bid, I contacted someone and that person said, okay, we informed already, he will most definitely come on your show. So then, okay, we were very, very excited. That was what gave us the confidence to start inviting the rest of the candidates to join us as well. Along the way, right, we didn't hear from them and say, oh, the team haven't gotten back to me, Then there's people from the peripherals of his team that DM me, and some of them I don't know, okay? Say like, hey, will you all be inviting Mr. Taman to the show? Then I say, yeah, I think someone's helping me do that already. Then they say, oh, okay, if not, let me know. Then Another person asked me. Then the third person asked me. The fourth person asked me. Then like, cannot be. Nobody asked that guy for me, you know? Yeah, so then I called that person and said, can you help me call or not? And so literally they called the team's campaign manager. And the campaign manager called me the next day and said, oh my God, there's a miscomm. For some reason, his understanding was that the Daily Catch-Up doesn't want to host him or want to charge them money to host him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, of which we didn't charge any presidential candidate, by the way. Even though some were paid.
Oh, other media outlets?
Yes.
Ooh.
Especially early on, before the campaign. Like, basically to create content.
Right,
which is
right,
normal lah. You want to
right.
raise
Fair
the profile of someone, you create content with that person lah.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Not to swing votes lah.
Yup.
Yeah, and so he says it's a huge miscomm. They thought that maybe Mr. Taman was like too boring, not sensational enough for the show. Which leads me to my next point. So when we ironed that out, we immediately nailed a date. And the date that gave us a bit of time to edit was Tuesday afternoon really. Yeah, then Tuesday night edit, Wednesday edit, then Wednesday come out. Then cooling day, then we kind of start away. Shout out to Dennis to editing, Mr. Tams. Which leads me to my next point of whether or not he was too boring for our show.
Yeah.
Because I think what we've always tried to do as a show was that we either address the biggest elephant in the room, and then we try and flip that elephant in the room. Meaning, we try and turn weakness into strength or turn something boring, interesting. You know, that was the ideology of the entire show, or how we tried to do it. And so, because he was, at least in my opinion or our opinions, defined as the safe, boring candidate, right? We wanted to see whether we could make him seem fun, exciting, and not just in a form of do bolel things like can you dance with me, that kind of thing, like not so superficial, but tell me a story really funnily kind of vibe, right? And yeah, when we couldn't get that, I think there was some form of my personal bias also that, oh my God, you're not shining on this. Like you literally...
Wait, why cannot get there?
I think he has this thought, right? Which in the end he's right. That Singaporeans have seen me for the last 30 years. Y'all have seen what I've done for Singapore on the ground. You've seen what I've done in policy level for Singapore. And y'all have seen me on the global world stage addressing global world leaders. Okay. And y'all know I can do the job. He is having difficulty when all the questions addressed to him by not just us, by the rest of the media, he has to address whether he's independent or not independent. Tan Kim Lian said this, how do you feel? Ng Kok Song said this, how does that make you feel? Which is like nothing to do with the job. Yeah. So for him, he's like, he feels that the people know he can do the job. But now he almost need to play on things that don't matter and need to try and win there.
Right.
Yeah, which I feel like at that point, and it's not to say it's beneath him to do it. It's more of, I think at that point of time, we were the last ready. We were the last interview he was going to go for already. And so, and at that point, I feel like his fatigue setting in. Yeah. And so when we try and ask him, so what we usually do is we ask the same questions in different manner to help create a more crystallized thought. And I think he knew what we were doing. And then he gives like the, I've said that vibe.
Yeah. But I also feel it's not like a narcissistic trait. It's that he really just wants to do the job. Like he's not, like one thing that came across was that he's not someone that has done this to get political power or political capital or whatever. He really just wants to help Singapore and like, and get the job done.
Yeah.
And so to him, like this whole campaign process is like, oh, he has to like fight for votes. And I think the other thing that you've mentioned before in, I think maybe a summary that we didn't air, was that he had to straddle between how does he talk about his strengths, which is really his strengths. He's freaking past at like the PAP and the government level, but also straddles with the fact that he needs to separate himself from the government. Yeah. And so his biggest strength is then his weakness, almost.
Yeah, so because Jared and I did most of the pre-prod for all the candidates also, right? And I think what was starkly different was that for the rest, right, we essentially will help them try to establish their history and their career track record.
Yeah.
While for Mr. Taman, we had to essentially help him explain away why his career track record will not affect his check and balance, you know what I mean? So it was almost the opposite. And also because a lot of people already knew him and a lot about him, and as Dan mentioned, he has been on a lot of other shows, right? Yeah. Then what are the personal stuff that we can get into to help his personality shine? That was a bit difficult and tricky also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Taman was actually the only one that came with his partner. So Jane was here and she was actually the one that impressed me the most out of everyone that I met like on this whole campaign thing.
She's so personable. She's incredibly likable. And then when she speaks, she really also commands the room, but very lovingly.
Very fun.
I don't know how to describe.
There's this Chinese saying like, behind every like strong and powerful man, right, there's like a very strong and powerful woman.
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
Then the woman is actually like, like the neck. The man is the head, but the woman actually control.
I think they have a really good partnership. Like they really balance each other because I think maybe it was a show or whatever. We haven't seen him in the social setting, right? But he can be quite intense sometimes.
No, he's very intimidating.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's very serious.
And he's very tall.
Whereas she's short, but also very lovable and a lot of personality. And they really are yin and yang.
So they like
Yeah.
they two-prong approach towards you.
Yeah.
yeah, which
Set
I think
the-
right, it was such a smart move that almost every media event that he did, right, he brought her along.
Yeah.
I think he knows she completes him as the package.
Yeah.
And you know it's so funny because at the winning speech, right, at the market, right, they had all the mics damn high up. Then after it's like, Mr. Simon, can you say anything? The mic is like here. Then she's like, it's such a great day. It was so cute. Oh my god, it's adorable.
She was swimming in the microphone.
The microphone was at the eye.
But so I was also looking for dirt on Taman to like try to call him out, right? Then,
Dirty Dennis.
no, because we have to. As in, that's what we do. We try to address like both sides for every candidate. And then there's literally a Reddit thread, right? That's asking for this because they're like, this person says, I don't believe that he's so clean. And then all the replies, right? It's just, actually, he was a great man. Like, this is something nice he did for me. This is something nice he did for me. Then something that the original poster also asked is that how come like his wife, like now he's suddenly parading his wife around with him and all that. Then people reply, no, actually Mr. and Mrs. Taman have been together like for most of their walkabouts in Jurong and all of that. So actually she's been supporting him all this while. And they've really
Right.
been like that dynamic duo.
You sure or not? You anti-baby? They pay you, is it? Hey, cannot never pay me.
And something that you found out also was that she was his lawyer like during the
Yes.
the OSA case.
That's how they met, right?
Oh, no way.
They met in the UK. They met in the UK. Yeah.
Yeah, you never watched the episode.
But so pretty much the only thing that we could find on him was the Official Secrets Act case where she was actually part of his defense team but heavily pregnant at that point. And then, but she refused to step back because she wanted to defend like her husband, and I'm sure she believed in his innocence also. But the trial dragged out for so long, right, that they started having this inside joke of like, wow, I wonder whether I'm going to deliver first or the judge will deliver the verdict first. Then in the end, she delivered first.
Hey, solid punchline.
Okay, so congratulations to Mr. Taman
And to Singapore, I guess. We have our
Taman's
president.
up,
I
man.
think we have the most involved relationship with a president in all of Singapore's history, except perhaps
That's
Mr.
another.
Ong Teng Cheong.
Do you think it's just an age thing though? Do you think it's because we are at this age now where we kind of care more?
I don't remember my parents really knowing who is Tony Tan as Anandan. They don't. It's just really look at job title lor. You just really look at job title. You know?
Yeah.
Then the job title is really important. And what their accomplishment really important, but who they were, that has never been contested
Yeah.
like the social media age now. Who they were as persons were never contested before.
Right.
Is Mr. Lee not going to run anymore in the next GE?
No lah, he low-key retire on NDR.
Pretty much.
Nobody claps. Everything he say, people clap, right? Because everybody excited. Everybody like him, man. He's saying good things. Then he say, "Oh, I'm ready for the my transition is now back on track."
Silence.
Don't watch that part. Oh no.
Oh, Adilo.
I think they clap like a good 7.5 seconds later. Then they start clapping.
No, because the person behind say put up the clap sign.
Hey, one thing we say on the summary app that we didn't say, which I want to say again. Many people expected that Ng Kok Song and Tan Kin Lian will split opposition vote. But then when it became clear that Ng Kok Song and Taman are splitting votes and Tan Kin Lian seemed to be getting all of the opposition votes, I think that's where everybody spoke, including me and us. When we realized that, it was before we even air the Taman episode. Then I think everybody felt a weight on the shoulder of how we are going to do this episode, because maybe we don't really see it, we don't affect anything. Right? If we really see it and then we make some misstep and then we swing certain votes, not to say that we are somebody of a show, it's just the internet show, don't take it so seriously, right? But if we were, for some reason, because a lot of people were saying they're voting on Kok Song because of us, other people were saying that they're not going to vote on Tan Kin Lian because of us, and then we are very afraid of.
To be fair,
last
the number of views that we got for the Ng Kok Song episode was the number of votes that he got.
If we can influence this type of thing, then you think we can sell merch? Right?
Mine's unmonetized.
I like the way you think.
I must say though that the number of views that we got for the episodes, obviously it's slightly higher than our usual, really faith in humanity and in Singaporeans, the fact that they are politically involved.
Yeah, I cannot deal with people that say I don't care. because this is your political future.
Okay, so thanks
It's
for
your
watching.
stake in your country.
Don't need to listen to him. Okay, so thanks for watching. Until the next presidential.
GE lah, GE can.
No.
Okay.
Hey, I would like to take this opportunity to invite another candidate that we haven't kena yet.
Mr. Lee Hsien Loong.
There's another candidate. What do you
There's
mean?
another candidate that says that he's gonna run. I think he go and collect form. Teritopsis Donnie Teo En Ming. Hey sir, we will be reaching out to you shortly. Please come on the show.
Wait, who?
You know he paid a JAV actress $1,000 to have sex with her in person. Hey, respect. Come on. If you knew it was so cheap and you were single and the
I think
package
he
was
cannot
there,
scam me. $1,000
we
bucks.
might take it.
That's not bad.
No, a JAV star
Oh wow, that's not
It's
bad.
like the Lana route.